All right, hello, people watching this. This is again another unscripted devlog video about the Escapists Reincarcerated. Um, so this devlog is coming out a day after the release of version 0.0.6, or yeah, 0.0.6, and big update. Right, this is kind of, I guess, not really an announcement video for the update, but it kind of is. I haven't changed anything in the project file since I released the update, so anything that I show in here is not new stuff. I haven't started working on the next update, and I have some ideas for the next update, but I really don't know what I'm going to do for it. But anyways, I'm just going to go through what I've added this time. I'm going to try to keep this shorter than the last two because they were like 20 minutes long. I yap a lot. So let's see here. So this update was layers. If I take a look here in the center perks tiles object, we can see all of the different layers. And so this is how I've, I guess, like separated everything. Pretty simple. Going into this update, I didn't know how I was going to actually do this. So this is probably like one of the hardest updates to do because I'm basically going off of no knowledge of, or really any idea of how I'm going to do it. But then I did it, and it's out now, so it's cool. And so, yeah, it took a while. I think it took about like 20 days to get this update through, with the others not being as long. And this is 20 days of like straight, like, working on it every day. So yeah, this was definitely tough. Digging was the hardest thing to get right, and it's still a little wonky. Blake's video of this update definitely showed a few bugs that will be fixed in the next update. I might even release it as a small patch for the current update. I could just do that today and then release that, but I may or may not do that because it's not that big of a deal right now. So yeah, let's just go through what I've added. Obviously, layers, and so it's kind of hard to see what I'm going to do. Actually, first off, I'm just going to show a small thing in the main menu. It's a very tiny addition, very tiny. So let me just disable all this stuff and just do this. Okay, so as you can see here, there is now version number up at the top corner. I meant to add this for the last update, but I just didn't because I kind of forgot. But now that's there. Hopefully I remember to change it for the next one. Actually, I'm just going to do that right now. I'm going to change that to 2.7. There we go. And so yeah, now I don't forget. But yeah, so that's what was added to the main menu there. Nothing else for the main menu. It's all been the same. It loads the tiles the same. It loads the audio the same, even though there's no audio. Still loading it. So a few ideas for this update, specifically for the underground section, is perhaps like having the underground as a separate area on the play space here in the scene. I did not end up going with that because that would have been pretty hard, and honestly, I don't know why I would have done that. But something you may notice is that the area here is a lot bigger than in earlier versions. What this whole box here around this is just the underground plane. The reason it's bigger than the ground plane is that it's like a weird tiling thing because I'm using one tile of the dirt texture for the whole thing, so it's tiling it, and it had to be bigger to get it to the right orientation and everything. Kind of hard to explain, but yeah. So basically, I'm just going to show this in the editor here. I will enable all of these so we can have them all at once. So here we go. This is the roof here, as you can see. Pretty basic. Sticks to the original. Something funny that I had to do when making it so that the player cannot walk off the tiles next to the fences is I had to add these roof fall constraint objects. Basically, it's just an invisible barrier where you can't fall there. So that's nice. And it literally does make it impossible to touch those tiles or fall down there when you're falling down on the roof, due to how the code handles falling off the roof. It's quite literally impossible to get stuck inside of a tile. And even if you do get stuck inside a tile, the game will just push you out of it. So, yeah, so just fall constraints here. Obviously, I had to put these one up above because the roof is vertically above the ground floor one tile. It's weird saying that, but it's higher, so you have to shift it up. And so, yeah, roof masks, whatever, custom made roof tiles. And so let's move on to the vents here. The vents were the first thing that I added in this update when working on it. And let's remove the ground just so we can see this easier. Yeah, we'll remove this too. So, yeah, the menus are getting in the way. But basically, yeah, this is just the roof. Pretty simple. These are ladders. The arrows are ladders. Midway through this update, I kind of stopped making custom textures like these V things and whatnot. It doesn't really matter anymore since it's done. And this is probably one of the last times I'm going to have to worry about like tiles and stuff, because pretty much everything after this update is pure gameplay stuff and not actual. I mean, this was gameplay, but not like actual like physical like changes to the landscape type stuff. This is kind of how it's going to look for a while until I make this the actual center perks. There are a few things that are different from the real center perks map, but I'm not going to go into those. It's very, very minor. But yeah, so this is the vent layer. Pretty self-explanatory there. And of course, you got the ground layer. So, and the underground, which is also always shown. So the underground layer is always loaded, basically to prevent, lag and stuff. There is actually a cool thing that I had to do for reducing lag, because this update as well, I've been really focusing on reducing lag and that type of stuff and slowdown, because I really want this to be like, a smooth game, obviously. And to reduce that, at least for going up and down into the underground system and ground layer, whatever, there's a special way that I had to do it. Basically, earlier, for going up and down vents and roofs, I just disable the vent object, which holds all of the vent tiles, as you can see, which is kind of slow. Even doing it in the editor here, there's a little bit of lag. Now, when actually playing it with the exe file, it's pretty smooth. Even on my old computer, you can't notice it at all. But just, to make it even better, for the underground, I made it so that only... so that the underground layer actually gets pushed up, sprite render wise, I guess you could say. So the underground gets rendered first, and then the ground gets rendered second, so you don't actually see the ground, because the underground is on the same position as it, and since it's being rendered first, it's above the ground. So really, when you're underground, you're actually on top of the ground layer, so it's pretty cool. That's, kind of how it is for those, obviously, because you're above anyways, so. But that's kind of the main difference here in the editor. But this took a while. A lot of extra scripts were made. Changes to existing scripts were made. The day before pushing the update, I had to change how mouse stuff is done in the mouse overlay script. Basically, the mouse sprite itself. Obviously, because going up and down stuff, there's a little arrow that pops up, and selecting items needed to be fixed, because there are problems with that through development. But anyways, so I'm sure you are curious of what it looks like. So I'm just gonna play the game here. I'm gonna open it up, and yeah, so we're just gonna go through the things that I added actually being in game. Something that I'm actually really happy about is how the ground layer looks and the lighting in it. It also gives me a blueprint of how I'm going to do lighting for the rest of the game. I really want lighting to be something that looks very nice in this game, because it's a remake and you know, I want it to stay faithful to the original, but I think better lighting would make it look so much better. So yeah, here's the text thing. So we're just gonna go into a prison here. Obviously AI is still the same, animations are here, and we also added a bunch of timber braces here for digging, and we added ropes and grappling hooks. So I'm just gonna do that stuff first. I'll just do the roof first, but I'm going to grab some things. So as you can see, the mouse. In some places the mouse isn't actually working properly, but that's whatever. Also, this is a bug. You can see item tooltips. You can touch items through the roof, and you can also chip through the roof. If I can find a wall here somewhere, you can actually chip. Yeah, you can chip through the roof. It's messed up, obviously. But so first thing here, I'll do this first. So obviously this is higher, so you need a grappling hook. You can't. Oh, you can grapple down. You can grapple from anywhere, but using regular ropes, you cannot. You have to grapple. Then going down, you can use a rope, or you can use a red rope, which also is red, which is cool. You can't fall down here because then you'd be pushed onto those. So you can just go throughout here, and can't fall. Oh, well, I wasn't completely on it. But yeah, so we just fell from the roof as well. Falling is a thing, obviously. You can't just float. It is impossible to float on the roof layer because the game every frame checks if whenever you're on a roof layer, it checks every frame if you are actually standing on a roof tile or not. And if you're not, then you fall. So yeah, unscrewing slats here. You can unscrew slats. I know there is a problem here with certain slats that I forgot to fix pushing the update, is that certain slats don't actually become unscrewable. Oh, what? Never mind. Yeah, never mind. I guess they are all unscrewable. That actually makes a lot of sense. Okay, never mind. There's no bug. There's no bug. So yeah, roof, or not roof, vent layer here. Pretty self-explanatory. And you can also cut slats and vents as well. Also, cool thing with the ladders is it's different from the original game in that these ladders are linked to each other. Instead of the ladder actually just pushing you up a tile and then putting you on the layer, it actually is linked. So it actually sends you to the exact ladder, which I think is really cool because it's just better. You know, it more customizability. Obviously, all the prisons in the game are already set up normally, like how a regular person would be, with the ladder actually making sense based on where it is. But you know, for whenever the map editor is out, if people want to like be able to teleport, you know, you can pretty much do that already. So it's pretty cool. And this one is obviously, that's why the camera moves, because you know. But with this one, this is just a regular one that's already in game. If we go to it here, it's just normal. But obviously these aren't. So that's how that is. And then we will... there's also another glitch that's probably going to show up. And also an oversight with rocks, mostly with rocks. So I'm going to dig here. And digging is now a thing. Digging is something you wouldn't be able to do. Side note as well, you are not obviously given the dirt item or wall items or vents whenever you know, break them. I've done that, you know, kind of intentionally. It just doesn't really matter right now. It really doesn't. And I also haven't added the functionality of that yet. So maybe in the next update, maybe not. I don't know. That's a small, easy thing that won't be hard to do. So I don't really have to worry about that for now. Okay, so now we're underground. And it looks a little different from the original game here. So it's like just brighter. And it just looks better. You know, people didn't like that you're able to see the hole at all, you know, positions underground. You can always see it being lit up. I think it looks better that way. Okay, never mind. Here, okay, so here's a rock. The rock, you can actually still do stuff with it above ground. It's really funny, and you can still bump into it here, which is a bug that I found today. Also, I forgot to make rocks like not 100% all the time durability. So, but rocks are a thing. They are completely random. They come at 40% chance intervals. I kind of reverse engineered that from the original game by just, looking for rocks on like 20 tiles and then getting the percentage, and it was about 40, so I could assume that in the actual code it's 40. So here, another rock. Oh my goodness. Okay, but I'm about to show off. I promise these are not every tile. They are definitely not, because that wasn't happening before. So anyways, as you can see, we have reached the limit. The hole is not stable anymore, and we can't dig after this tile. We can dig here, we can dig here, and we can dig here, we can dig there, wherever. We can't dig after this. So we need timber braces. Boom. Timber brace. It works, and it's cool. So now the hole is stable, and we can keep going. It's a really clever way that I came up of how to like actually deal with this, because like it was kind of difficult to figure out how to do this, but yeah, I found a way. If you look through the code, you'll see it in the item behavior script. That's where this is kept, funnily enough. But yeah, so that's digging. It works. Whatever. Rocks. Light. I like the light. I like how it looks. And that's pretty much it for this update. Also, small thing. Items drop in a grid now, and you cannot drop items on top of each other. So, yeah. Items drop in a grid. Obviously, these are not in a grid, but that's because I placed them there using the Unity editor. So, yeah. The only reason these are on top of each other is because that's how they were placed in the Unity editor. So, yeah. Cool things with this update. I had a lot of fun with this update. Yeah, it may seem small, but this was difficult to get working. So, so yeah, it looks like 17 minutes long. All right, I'm gonna stop recording here. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoy the new update. So just enjoy the new update. Also, join the Discord because I will be running a poll probably today or tomorrow or something about what people want to see in the next update. So yeah, see you.